Welcome back to IT Performance. Today I am fitting CPU and CPU water block, the EK Velocity water block for an AMD CPU to a new motherboard. So let's have a look at that. So after I got my water block water coolant in, I powered up my motherboard, I powered up the machine, and it didn't work. Motherboard was dead. Power was getting through to my keyboard somehow, and there was a really weird sound. I wonder if you can hear this. Coming from the motherboard. It's around where the other chip on the motherboard is. Now I first noticed it about 1 to 2 weeks ago, and it seems to have finally died. So here we are. I've bit the bullet and gone with AMD. It's the first time in many years, and this is the Ryzen 5900X with a Gigabyte Aurorus Elite Wi-Fi motherboard. Now I originally bought this, or considered this, because there is an EK water block, that mono block that fits over the CPU and the VRMs, and I was going to buy that. However, no time, so I ended up getting the EK Quantum Velocity block, CPU block. So all up, this cost $1,578 and a few cents. So here we go, first time in a long time doing AMD. Now I'm not going to worry with the M2 card at the moment. So what have we got here? We've got a box with a motherboard. And this motherboard has its own little fan on it for the X570 chipset. Now, one of the questions will be, does it have the same connectors on it that my old one had? Let's have a look. Yeah. It will have more. Because my old one didn't have digital RGB, whereas this one does. So that's the same. System fan pump, that'll be somewhere else. So USB, those two there, so that's good. LED, digital LED, normal LED. Oh, that's good. That's only a 5-pin header. The LED on my old one was a 5-pin header, one for white. Audio, that's the same. Amp-up audio. It's not mucking around with the killer chipset this time, which is fine. And some other headers. Still only has, now this one still only has the 8-pin for the CPU, and that's fine. But the layout is largely the same. I wonder. DDR4, yep, that's cool. So there we go. There's no real... okay. So those are the cooling. So the old monoblock cooled along there. And that's what those ones do. That's fine and dandy. Okay, it's a little bit, it's the same size. Okay. Let's start putting it together. Oh, in the box we have four SATA cables, wireless aerial, install manual, a G connector, so you can put everything in there first and just slide it on, and it'll make things easier. An extra thing for M2 card, and a manual. A manual with, look, a CD. Wow. A CD. You don't see that very often these days. Okay, so let's put that aside. We won't need that for now. Now let's see how this goes on. Because I will sort out anything for that. Okay, and here we have, oh yes, it's the same as the other one. So you get a little Allen key, some bits and pieces there. Let's see. The actual block itself, a little bit of heat, gunk. That's it. Oh, and some brackets. Look, we get brackets. What we don't get is anything on how to install it. No manuals, nothing. So I'm going to have to do a lookup on the internet. Okay, so first things first is to take off these screws. Screw it over here. And those just come off, and then the plate on the back. Should just come out. Okay, now Okay, so the rubber thingy goes on there. You can take that bit off if you want, but I can't be bothered. Then that one goes on, so rib side out. And it's easiest to put it on while it's on its side here like this. Now I've already had this on. I'm taking it off, which is why the rubber grommet is sticking. So those screw through the side. You need to make sure you put the white washer on. Do all four corners, obviously. So now you're doing 3. And then tighten them up, finger tight. Do not use pliers or anything to over tighten them. Okay, the next part is to install the CPU. So let's have a look at this. Crikey, all this packaging for that. All right. Oh, and you get a Ryzen 9 sticker. Certainly nothing like the reviewers get. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Let's open this up. It's been a very long time since I've had a CPU with pins on it. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So you'll notice on the bottom over here there's a marked one. All the other corners are all green, but this one's gold. That should go. Not sure if you can see it, but right in that corner there's a little triangle, and that's where that one goes. Before you do that, check and make sure all the pins are straight, because if the pins aren't straight, can you see down there? See those rows of pins? Need to make sure that those are straight. Because if those aren't straight, then it won't go in properly. Then you'll have problems. It won't work. Okay, and that just slots in nicely. Then put the lever down. Now that the CPU is in, you put, with a non-abrasive cloth, wipe the top. The non-abrasive cloth. Well, how about a paper towel? Will a paper towel do? I'm going to use a paper towel, just to make sure that I'm sure that's not abrasive. There's nothing on there that you don't want. And then now, interestingly enough, everybody seems to be now advising to put some, instead of just putting a dob in the middle, everybody's saying, and then instead of just putting a dob in the middle, oh, thermal grizzly, and then just letting the heatsink spread it out, everybody is now saying, well, starting to go, okay, put a line on, and then spread it out with something like a credit card or something like that. Because then you know that it's even. I have an old Prezi card. So let's... I'm going to put it around that way. It's a pretty massive. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then screws. 1, 2, well, that one doesn't want to go on. Okay, so keep screwing until they don't screw anymore, basically. That one. That one. Oh, it's a bit squeaky. Just like that. And that should be right on top of that. Oh, look, there's even some squirtage out the sides. Okay, good. And that's that on there. Now, okay, in and out.
So instead of putting you through watching me install the motherboard and the tubing and refilling the loop, I thought I would just take you to the finished product. The GPU is now back in 16 times slot, although this is a PCIe 4 slot as opposed to PCIe 3. And I quite like this new coolant because it picks up the lights from the RGB and fills the color, and looks like the color in the tubing is the same as the color of the RGB, so it's different colors in different areas of the case. Very nice.
And thanks for watching. Come back. I'll have another video up shortly about my first foray into the AMD arena in many years. Is it as good as everyone says? Well, things we'll find out, won't we? Yes, we will. Okay, cheers. See you later. Bye.